also said that my motion would include that Joe would be read in on everything having to do with the project from that point forward, and I don't see that in there. I know my voice would be on record having said it.
No, I got you. I got you.
That was a part of it.
Yeah, you did say that, Jim. I'll add that. That's no problem. Okay. I've got the added notes for the meeting minutes on Tuesday for October 15th. I'll add that to those notes.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure he's kept up, because if he's not, I'm going to be a lost ball 9 weeks, because I don't know what to do with it.
I think he has been. I think he feels that way, I hope. So I think he has been. So, okay. Okay. And then I'm just taking notes here. Sorry.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Danny's on his way over. I guess he was having trouble getting on, so I told him just to come on over and we could participate together. So we can just give him maybe 5 minutes. I'll turn the back porch light on.
Where's Todd? Anybody seen him yet? Okay, he's here.
I saw him on one of the screens a few minutes ago.
He's there. Where's Paula? Is she in?
I'm here.
Okay. So the only one we're missing is Danny, right?
Yeah.
Question for you guys. I don't know if we've been hacked or what the situation is here. It's really not designated me as a host, but somebody by a fictitious name maybe. And I'm wondering who this is.
Wow.
Right. Actually, it says FBI agent numbers 200713 Roberts is the host.
Yeah, I've got that on mine.
Hey,
And
it ain't me.
well, I have no clue what that is, but they have them hosting the meeting, and
My computer skills aren't that good.
I see that block on here of an FBI agent number 2007 on mine.
Yeah. Yeah, on the participants. And it's muted.
Yeah,
are you guys comfortable with going on and having the meeting? I mean,
I don't care. It's a public meeting anyway. They can hear
All
it.
right, let's have it.
okay.
That's a Vice President Trump. Well,
I think I hear David, so.
must be on the project.
I'm finally like 10 minutes from Kentucky.
You're still on the Ohio side?
Yeah, I'm down on 3rd Street trying to go
geez.
over the bridge.
Ouch.
Well, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Just get a hotel somewhere. Yeah. Hang out.
Oh. Yeah, my work's over by Cincinnati State.
Oh, okay. West side.
Yep.
Hey, since we're paused waiting for Danny, I want to give you guys a heads up. I do have to leave at 7:30. I have a family engagement I have to take care of that, well, frankly, my wife can't drive right now, so it's me, myself, and I, so to speak, so I want to apologize for that, but I'll get back to the recording, of course, and the audio to make sure I capture all the notes, so just give you guys a heads up.
That's good. Maybe it'll keep the meeting short, John. I have
Amen. Amen.
I'm gonna mute.
Unfortunately, I've got a lot to talk about.
I'm gonna mute myself here for a while, so if anybody needs it.
Danny Martin is here with me now. Did y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, is Alex on, or I haven't seen him?
I'm on, Sean.
Oh, hey, Alex. Good to
could go ahead and call the meeting to order, and I would like to say go ahead and, Sean, if you could read that, did you all want to discuss this amended budget amendment beforehand, Joe? And say a few things before we decide to vote?
Yeah, I'd like to bring the council and everybody on the meeting up on some new developments on Oakwood that I spent a great deal of time yesterday and most of today on trying to get to the bottom of it. And initially they were very concerning, but I think the end result is it could be an opportunity to do a better project. But unfortunately, I've got to walk you through the pain that I went through to get to the level of understanding to make those comments. So I'll try to be brief in the interest of people that need to get out of here, but I think the background's important. So I get an email from our new engineer, Richard Carr, yesterday about a quantity issue on the scope for the 159. And through a number of phone calls yesterday and today with Art Harden and Rick, frankly, my head was about ready to explode. There was an email that came from Art today saying that we need to do a budget adjustment in addition to what we've already talked about of an additional $12,500 to include 13 drains on the project. And what are you talking about? An additional 5 drains? Where'd this come from? So I started asking for documents that I've never been able to get. I asked for the scope, the estimate, and the bid package for the very first bid. Show me the documents. What's the scope, the estimate, and the bid for the second bid package where it went up to 230? And then again, I asked what was the scope, the estimate, and the bid package documents where we returned to the 159. I don't understand where these 13 drains are coming from. You know, we're at 9th Street drain. First of all, I stand behind everything I said in the October meeting from the crest of the hill down, including 9 drains and 6 low point drains in the right of way of some various people's yards.
Hey,
But the
Joe,
story, pardon?
there's getting to be a lot of background noise from somebody. You're fading in and out.
It's probably me feeding Daniel. I'll put me on mute.
No, it's some kind of music.
Everybody needs to mute their mics, please, until after the meeting's over,
Okay,
or unless you're council member.
where do I need to back up to?
You're good up to there. Go ahead with that.
Okay, so what's going on is I've had to do a lot of homework working with Richard and Art, try to forensically understand where we get to 13 street drains. And,
It's a birthday hug.
okay, I'm getting feedback from somebody.
Oh, Kayla's calling.
It's the FBI agent 207.
I just muted him. Look, I don't know if I can delete
Okay.
them.
That was so
Thank you, Arden.
freaking delicious. But he got it.
So let me try to pick up where we are here. After going through this, and I saw the documentation, the 13 street drains were specified on the same drawing in scope number 1, scope number 2, and scope number 3. The only thing was different among those 3 scopes were the unit quantities, basically the table you saw that had the number of cubic yards of concrete, the feet of pipe, the amount of excavation, the amount of driveway repairs. The only thing that changed among those 3 scopes was the unit pricing document. In each case, though, the 13 drains were shown, but what happened was in the very last estimate that Brass Eagle bid on, unit quantities were included for the whole street. Okay, all the way up to lot 1 and lot 27 on the Violet Road edge. So that further explains why that 159 looked like a big number, is those materials for the pipe, the gutters, the topsoil, the excavation, the various feet of pipe were even greater, and they're included in our 159 number. What's missing is 5 additional street drains that take us to 13. So I really probed at Art trying to find out what happened. He basically said, I made a mistake between the versions. I put 8 versus 4. I said, well, why is that? He said, well, I don't really know, but we talked an awful lot about from the crest of the hill down to, to the end of the street versus the other street. So what we had was a mixed drawing package and a mixed unit price table. So, and why did that happen? And this is a recommendation for the future. We really didn't have any revision control on the scope or the documents. And we need to do that in the future. We need to have a formal sign-off process when versions change, when documents change, when estimates change. And we have a responsible person from the city that signs off on those changes. And those need to be reviewed as changes occurred. And that didn't happen. So that's a future improvement. But here's the opportunity. We've got all the quantities on this bid sheet for the 13 drains, except for these 5 catch basin street drains that are missing. If we do this, if we add an additional $12,500 into what we've already have in the works, the 159 plus, we take care of the whole street. We got gutters all the way to the end. The street width is the same. Aesthetically, it will look better. And frankly, I don't think it'll get any cheaper in the future than the opportunity we have right now, because the materials are already in the 159 that we're talking about. So Art's proposal, and I guess mine is too, that we add yet another 12,500 in here to take it to 13 street drains. All the other materials are already included in what we counted in the 159. And we can get this done without any rework. If we choose not to do this, then there's going to be some additional engineering work to take that material out and get it down to the center of the street, to the end, or the crest of the street, to the very end. And I think that's just burning engineering dollars for no future value. So I'll entertain any questions that we might have, but that's why we're where we're at. We never, until today, I never saw all 3 versions, and I don't think anyone on this call did either. Even talking to the mayor today, she couldn't locate or find the package that we were looking for. So that further underlines why we need to have a scope review and approval process, a version control on drawings, review and approval process. But where we are right now, I also had, independently, I got Richard Carr, our new engineering support person, to verify Art Harden's quantities, and he did that, okay? Now, he didn't get it down to a whisker, but he spent about 4 hours today working with me to get the quantities verified. So I think Art's quantities are now pretty good, and Richard Carr has reviewed and approved those. So I burned some engineering dollars to get there, Kate, probably 4 or 5 hours anyway to get that verification. But I think that's money well spent, or we'd be totally up in the air right now. So my recommendation here is to take care of the whole street, put the 13 street drains in. It takes the total budget up to 171, 533 plus the performance bond. I would imagine, Sean, we have to proportionally change that, but that'll be tiny. The big thing is that we're adding $12,500 should you guys choose to do that. This is where I shut up or answer questions.
So Joe, what you're saying is they were wrong. It wasn't 8, it was 13, and we need additional money to substantiate that.
We had, basically, yes, we had mismatched unit price sheet versus the drawings. And Art threw himself under the bus himself saying, I made a mistake. I should have either reduced the quantities for the crest of the hill down scope, or I should have put the 13, but he clearly, on his last bid package, had the number 8. So I can't fault Brass Eagle. This is some of the problems in learning with these unit price contracts. The contractor looks at the spreadsheet more than he looks at the drawings. So I suspect he never really, Brass Eagle, did the personal count on the drawings.
Joe, do we have any idea of knowing if we were to go back to the top, the crest of the hill down? You're talking about burning additional engineering dollars to remove quantities. How much money? Do we know?
Exactly, no, I don't know.
Got a ballpark?
My gut feels $10,000 or $15,000, something like that.
So it's going to cost us as much to take that out and fix it as it is to go ahead and do what's there.
By the time you count the delays and the weather that we've got to go through, I think we're burning money if we, and I say that in the event that we ever want to do the whole street. If we ever want to do the whole street again, we'll burn more than that just in mobilization and demobilization of the contractor to start like a phase 1 or a phase 2 from a phase 1.
Right. I'm just talking about if we were to just go back and leave out those 5 and go with the crest of the hill down, how much would we be talking about engineering money in order to just reduce the quantities that you're talking about there?
I don't know exactly, a few $1,000s, not much.
Couple, 3, 4. I mean, if we're talking, well, 5 to go on.
Yeah, something like that, and then we, have to spend a meeting or so with Brass Eagle. But to my understanding, on this broader scope, going for the full street, they've already talked with him, and since he's given us unit prices on all the sticky stuff, meaning the excavations, the labor, and all that, what we're really talking about is the purchase price of these drains.
Right. Which is about 12.5.
Yeah, so that's pretty clean. It gets stickier when you start talking about all the labor piece of the excavations and all that. So could we do what you're talking about? Absolutely, and that's a decision council needs to make.
Well, my problem is I'm losing faith every day in Art. It seems like every time we look at something, there's a little bit something different going on, and I don't want to say one thing and then we wind up, as we get started into this thing, we find another glitch in it. I know you put in a lot of work. I'm not blaming you, but I'm beginning to have a lot of concern about this engineer.
I share some of that, but I think part of it's the process. I think part of it, we in the city have culpability because there was no review and approval process.
Joe, go ahead.
I also fault Art for not demanding that. He should have pushed for that just for his own protection.
I do have a little more faith in the what Joe and Mr. Carr, Rick Carr, are working on, Jim, as far as him being the new engineer.
Well, I got faith in what Joe's done. It just bothers me that if we're going to run into something else that Art has done that shouldn't have been done or should have been done and wasn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Joe ought to be a lot more confident than this, I would think.
Has Rick Carr stated any other problems that he foresees after doing that?
Rick's in the same boat that I am. We're seeing this stuff for the first time, and
well, all he's done is the quantity review, though, right, Joe? He just looked at the quantity review so far, right?
Yeah, but he's also looked at the details of the physical design, and he's okay with that. He would feel better if he did the staking out versus, the survey work and the staking out work versus having Brass Eagle do that. But this is my personal opinion. I don't want to get a complication between the engineer and contractor. I want that, if the surveying's wrong, I want that burden to be on Brass Eagle's back and not on car engineering.
How comfortable are you? How comfortable are you now, having spoken to Mr. Carr, that if we go ahead with this 12.5 and do the complete scope, that we're probably looking at the end of this whole concept, that it's probably going to just be done and that's it? How comfortable are you with that?
Over the last 2 days, I've developed more confidence, okay? But this kind of falls into the category, I'm trying to do forensic stuff that's happened over the last year and figure out what conversations, what were in people's heads, what documentation have I yet to see.
Yeah, that's my concern.
So to answer your question, I've got some of the concerns, and could there be further warts out there on this that I haven't discovered yet, or he hasn't discovered? Perhaps. I expressed my concerns the other day about unit price contracts.
Because we're really relying a lot on the original architect's drawings and everything else for the construction engineer to have looked at to base his quantities on. That's.
And yeah, the onus here is on the original, on our Hardin. But again, what I had him do over the last day and a half was to verify those. And they seem to be reasonable for the 13 drain case. But this has not been up to the level of professionalism that I would like to see.
That's kind.
But we are where we are. And I think if we want to get this thing moving, we probably ought to go ahead with the whole street case. That's my opinion. But what do the rest of you think? Everyone that's mentioned concern, Jim, Mayor, I agree with you completely. I can't tell you any more than I already have.
Hey, Joe, will these additional drains, I know it's gonna bring it up, you said $10,000-$12,000. Is the install gonna cost us on top of that too?
No, that's already included in the unit prices for the concrete, for the excavations, for the gutters, for the back. Those materials and those labors are already included. What we're really talking about is the purchase price and dropping those things in place. All the other stuff is included.
In your opinion, Joe, would this totally wipe out the problem with Oakwood? And we would never have to go back to that again?
No.
Gosh, that's a broad, Paul. I would say directionally we've moved that way.
Let me help you, Joe. I did talk, in one of our meetings, I did talk with Art, and I did have him say that this is not going to take care of all the problems.
Right.
All that's going to happen with this construction is we're going to control the water flow that came from the road. That's pretty much as far as Art was going to go with this, is we're going to keep the water from the road into the drains, and that portion of water will not be going into the houses. Now, the way their front yards lay, there's still going to be some issues there, but this is going to take away 45% of their issue, maybe.
Well, and he actually said that for the looking at it from the perspective of a 10-year weather event too, that it would take care of it along on the road from the perspective of viewing it from a 10-year weather event, but no, it would not solve the entire problem. I mean, that's the way I remember the previous meeting that you're talking about, what he said.
Yeah.
And it would be a great improvement, right, to what they're dealing with now.
Yes.
Yeah, and to add the fact that we've got those 6 low point drains and low areas in the right of way is an improvement that the citizens weren't expecting. So that's nicer. And if we get the other drains toward the Violet Road end, that's yet another improvement. But is it perfect? No. The perfect solution was the $500,000 thing where you tear the whole road out, tear all the water piping out, and lower its elevation and start all over.
Right. That's what he said.
Yeah.
It's a bad situation because the houses sit lower than the road. So everything is
Exactly.
everything is sloped to their house. So there's still going to be some issues. But the road water won't be one of them anymore.
Right. So it's up to you.
Okay,
Okay, council, let's decide if we're going to go ahead and, talk about anything else for this amended budget and either approve the amended budget and, go on with that and later on amend for the 12,500 for Brass Eagle, if you all agree to that. What other way, is there anything else that anybody wants to talk about as far as amending the budget? Danny?
I do, Mayor. Can you hear me, Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
The last Tuesday night, we talked about the $3,500 for the Christmas decorations. I don't mean to sound like a Scrooge, but with this being November the 14th, I'd like to see if we could possibly take that section out of the budget amendment, because this is one of the issues that I've wanted to work on for a while, is that we have yearly goals and plans for our city that we just don't come to one meeting and go, we want to do this next month and vote on it and kind of like have a knee-jerk reaction. Again, I don't want to sound like Scrooge, but if we could plan out like, okay, next year, let's think about doing Christmas decorations and include that in on the budget, and somebody do some research on what they're wanting to do instead of we got a week to get them up because Christmas is going to be over in 7 weeks.
Okay.
I
After
don't know
speaking
if
with,
anybody else wants to talk about that. You know, I'm for the trash, I'm for the COVID relief, and I'm for getting this Oakwood taken care of and started, but I'd like to see if people would like to pull back or discuss anything about the Christmas, 3,500 for the Christmas amended budget for this year.
okay, after speaking with Alex, legally you can vote on that. If you want to take that section out of the amended budget, Danny, we would have to have a motion to take out the Christmas fund of $3,500.
Okay, I make a motion that we take out the $3,500 Christmas fund for Christmas of 2020.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. Just Joe.
Mr. Dusing seconds it. Okay, so round the horn, so to speak. Mrs. Humphrey, would you want to say yes to remove this money from the budget?
Yes, I think it'd be best to plan it out. Maybe do it next
Okay.
year.
Understand. Mrs. Lally? Sorry, Mrs. Lally, was that a yes or no? I didn't hear you. I was on mute and I may have spoke.
yeah, that's fine.
To remove it, yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Purcell?
Yes.
And last but not least, Mr. Roberts.
Yes.
Okay. So motion carried to remove the Christmas decorations from the amended budget. So that, just a review, is a team real quick. So that does include adding the Oakwood Drive base cost up to 159 plus performance bond. However, that bond will change by percentages because of the 12.5, and that's something we can do next month or whatever. So we'll leave it as is, and then add the engineering costs, as we discussed on Tuesday. Also add the additional monies for the trash pickup, as well as the, of course, the small business economic relief grants. Is there any other changes outside of the Oakwood additional 12.5 and or removing the Christmas decoration ad from Tuesday?
Sean, I may not have been able to hear you clearly. Were you saying we are, and maybe it's a question for Alex, can we do the additional 12,500 tonight, or do we have to do that in another step?
Joe, you can do it tonight. It's not too consequential. I'm sorry, guys. You can do it tonight, Joe.
We could do it, Joe.
We can, okay,
Yeah.
so I would assume as a group, we need to, I feel like I've pushed this too hard, but I think we probably need to vote on that if we want to do the broader scope or keep it at the 159 and clean it up.
I'm getting a little concerned that we haven't turned a shovel full of dirt and this price is slowly climbing to 200,000. I mean, as long as we can try to hold this number, whatever it is now, after this vote, but I'm going to have trouble to keep bumping this number up.
Well, I would too, Todd. I can tell you, I talked with Richard today, and there is some opportunity for improvements, but it's small. For instance, there's 5,500 square feet in driveway modifications. We could probably cut that in half. Okay, how much is that? $6,000. There's 2 manholes in there. Could we cut it back to 1? He's studying that to see if we could, and that would be another couple of $1,000s. But these aren't huge changes. So there's a little bit of wiggle room in things that could be done after we give some kind of authorization here, whether it's the 159 or whether it's the 171. There's some wiggle room on some of this stuff, but it's not big.
Right.
Okay, so I've asked the same questions that you've got rolling around in your head right now, so that's...
I just see us slowly walking back up to that 225 that what was that, second bid came in? And it's
222.
and it's no one person's fault. It just seems like it's going across the board as we're getting surprised. But we need to kind of get the reins on this and let the engineers know, hey, we want to do it right, but let's quit adding all the toys to it.
I agree completely, and frankly, I think this is kind of a learning from me and this municipal type work.